Welcome to Being Heard, a podcast by us, the Brothers Koren, as an exploration of the simple yet profound effects of music, song, and voice.
Together we'll explore topics from sound healing, songwriting, the positive effects of singing, and coming home to the one-of-a-kind voice that you've been given this lifetime.
Let's journey through the musical cosmos and discover our human potential through sound.
Let's go.
Cross the river with a barge man, dressed in his rusty horse, and his eyes are heroes unspoken.
Welcome to Being Heard. I'm Thorald Koren. This is Isaac Koren. We are here
Welcome.
with you, and today we're exploring a conversation on the heart.
And resonating the heart as a place, as a space we get to inhabit as a voice. That includes all of the emotions we get to paint with, the colors of our expression, using the voice. And behaviorally, what does that open up for us? And yeah, it's a great conversation that we like to cover a couple of places. First is this idea of giving in to a feeling. Not necessarily about giving up.
Definitely
But,
not.
perhaps there's stories that we can give up in order to give in to a feeling.
Like, what do we have to give up to give in?
We'll explore that. And then we're going to move into talking about coherence and how do we reharmonize this dissonance that we so often feel in ourselves and also in the world, perhaps particularly in the world at times. And finally, this motion, this doing word, courage.
Doing word. I guess courage is so often associated with the actions or the voices we find the ability to share, right? So I guess it's an active way of being, isn't it? It's it requires an activity for sure. I think also we're looking at kind of how when we allow our heart or our feeling, our felt sense area of our voice to resonate, it reverberates. And reverberance is a principle that occurs when there's vibration held within a space or within a container. And I'm kind of endlessly fascinated by this idea that if you direct resonance into a space like the chest cavity, it grows in richness. Like the more we sing into our heart space, the wider, the richer, the more beautiful, the more illustrious, the more magnetic, just the more amazing the experience becomes. And on a reasonable level, there is, if we keep singing, let's say, a sound into our chest, there is a decay, right? A resounding that still exists even when we stop singing, right? Maybe even a measurable amount of vibration left over. And the more we sing into that space, it's almost like the easier and more graceful and powerful our voice becomes. Like we're leaving a little bit of the last note in the cave of our chest. I love that. Comes this rich heart voice. The more we give ourselves permission to feel and sing into that space.
Yeah, and anatomically too. I mean, there's a readable magnetic pulse from the heart, from the rhythms, from the explosions, the soft explosions in our blood, creating oxygen or oxygenation. The red blood cell impact of that rhythm from that first moment that we were alive was that music. And at the basis of every note is that rhythm sped up. Sounds like a note, an elongated note to us. But if you really go into the microcosm of a note is rhythm. And so that heartbeat is our microcosm, is our first pulse. And our voice is an extension of that.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of singing into the first cavity, right? The first cavity we explored as a being. And what we find in the heart, metaphorically, metaphysically, and anatomically, is a lot of our personal presence and power,
Totally.
but also our vulnerability.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned, we both were just sharing about, like, what do you need to give up to give in? And it seems like we must give up our need to control what we might feel when we give in and come home to our felt sense, right? Can't necessarily control what is there to feel. But we can certainly make ourselves available to feel it as best we can and at the amount we can handle. Of course, we have to move at the pace we're ready for. And, over the years, especially working privately and directly with many people over the last 10 years on the songwriter's journey, sometimes there's a sense that over the years, I've definitely met some people that have in their own way said, like, I'm afraid to feel what's there to feel just in case it's goes on forever. You know what I mean? Like, I might disappear into what I have to feel. It's been so many years holding back, feeling it all.
I know it is a common feeling that we encounter in our coaching work around the voice and songwriting. And, science shows that it really is only 90 seconds that a feeling lingers in the system, in the nervous system, even in the mind, particularly in the body. And it's really only our fixation with our storytelling, our meaning-making machine around that feeling that prolongs it, that keeps it in any prolonged loop. So, the voice is an opportunity to really feel it for that couple of minutes, or maybe it needs to be longer, depending on a feeling. If there's real grief, that can take many, many moons, right? Of wailing and singing and dancing and moving through and moaning and groaning and howling, right? Tears, river, ocean, bottomless. However,
seemingly bottomless, but
seemingly bottomless.
And
however, there's a buoyancy in the beauty that comes through music, song, and voice that we've found time and time again. So so that giving in perhaps requires a giving up of the stories, of the attachments and the resistances too, right? Because if we're resisting joy and we're being called to give in finally to joy.
Joy again. I think we're also giving up being able to control how much we feel, right? But what I feel like we see is that it's mostly the anticipation or the anticipatory anxiety around how scary it might be to finally feel feelings that have been unfelt. And yet it generally seems to be an illusion that it's something that goes on for a long time, and B, that it's not that it generally isn't true that someone doesn't have the capacity. They do have the capacity to feel what's there inside them, right? That nature gave them the apparatus, the voice, the body to feel what it needs to feel. And we're speaking about coherence here, and what we have not let ourselves feel safely sits and waits to be felt. And we could go off on many tangents as to what happens with unsounded sounds and stuck sounds, if you will, or unfelt feeling in the emotional body, in our mental health and our physical body. But I'm more interested in what happens when we give in and let ourselves start to feel what's gone unfelt through expression, through voice and song and music, which is like this ancient gift. We have this ancient gift to be held as we feel. And it's followed us through all cultures of humanity, you know? And I think there's a remembrance now. We're in a remembrance that voice was for us all, and music was a medicine, and song is a safe space. So what happens when we give in and let the music carry us to feel those things? And what we find in a conversation on coherence is the noise of our body starts to find signal again, starts to come back and kind of recenter and recalibrate to an emotional, full sort of healthy spectrum again. Right? Someone feels liberated. Someone feels capable. They had the courage to feel, and now they're ready to lean into their life in new ways. And that's just such a blessing, you know?
Yeah, it's reminding me of our dear grandmother, bless her heart, where she would say, get off yourself and into yourself, we added. But get off yourself. You know, this machinery of the mind that likes to watch. It's kind of like the panopticon, watching every move, judging every move, assessing every move. You know, it's a mechanism of our survival system, right? Our nervous system that makes sure that we don't, you know, that we fit in, that we are presentable, performance ready,
appropriate,
pretty. So, but what happens is that they develop watchingness, and then fear creeps in as like a control mechanism that stops us from our freedom of expression. That's what we find often is this kind of this overwatched self.
Totally.
And I'm not sure if it's a product of, you know, this kind of Western society handed down to us perhaps through our ancestors who were surviving in a different way than us, and so developed these. But these fears that we share often around the voice, for example, we call them the small voices. And you know, the beautiful thing is there's nothing wrong, nothing to fix. We can't get onto us. We got to, you know, stay off ourselves around the fears. We can't fear the fear itself.
Well, we certainly can. I've tried it. It's futile.
Right, you have. So
resisting the resistance doesn't seem to work.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what wants to reverberate, what wants to resound, and I think that the voice gives us a place to just be with what is and be with what we're feeling, and that's so simple. I mean, and yet in that simplicity is such complexity. It's like, wait, so we don't even have to talk. We could just be about feeling. And if a part of you asks why, well, it might be a survival system asking, well, why feel? And if you just look at the greatest music that's ever been created, it was just like completely haunted by feeling, and not figured out feelings, or not feelings that is all pretty and in nice, neat boxes, but feelings in the midst of being processed. You know, you think about these great songs of all time people have been attracted to. Hallelujah. Gosh, even Let It Be, you know, well, I mean, you name it. In fact, whoever's listening, you know, think of a song that's moved you, and think about the complexity of emotion that it holds, you know. And I don't know, just maybe even just in this moment, I'm just gonna, you know, play a chord. You know, you don't even have to like come up with a story or a memory that where you couldn't feel everything you felt. You could just tune into your body as you are right now, and just let this chord be an elixir, a permission for you to just ask, well, how do I feel, and how does this chord make me feel? Whatever it's making you feel, can you just meet it with a hum, like Isaac's doing? And then I move to this chord. How does this make you feel? Sing in tune. Just find a feeling and invite it into your lips. And then, how does this make you feel?
You've made me give in to 3 separate feelings in less than a minute.
Right, so how might this feeling make you feel? This chord make you feel, I mean.
Same as that third feeling.
Okay.
reminds me in like 2005 or something, we got invited to this Sufi whirling dervish music night where this man named Ali Rahman, he sang into a drum, and I've never heard a man resonate his heart like that before.
No, and the drum, like another extension of the skin, a reverberant skin, right? It was like this extension of his heart and soul out into the room and then back into him.
And you never, even though he was singing to God, he never shied away from sharing his human heart. Like he was falling on a sword for his voice. You could
feel his humanity, his desperation, his pain.
Oof. Such
pain and beauty.
Such pain.
Oh, he was incredible.
Longing too.
Longing, yearning, hope, rejoice, and grief. Like ancient grief too. Just an incredible willingness to feel. And that's what we really have here. And I hope you had a beautiful experience if you followed along with us. That a simple experience like a sacred hum over chords, saying, well, how does that chord make me feel? Well, let me feel that feeling. Goes so far beyond just talking out how we feel can go. That as great as talking is, sounding picks up or leaves off where words fall short is what it seems occurs for quite a few of us, especially when we fall back into trust with letting ourselves feel before we over talk about it. Just to get to the sound before the word can be extremely coherent creating.
Yeah.
And what a joy, what a gift. What a gift we've been given in this human experience. This it's such a dense experience being a human being on planet Earth, and surely it's one of the great things we come here to experience, that to be able to make sound with the density.
Yeah, I love the idea that even the angels are jealous of our incarnated ability to feel.
I reckon.
Yeah.
And those angels come here. It sounds like a beautiful story. Come here to feel through music and then go back and remark upon it.
Don't miss a thing.
Yeah, and we each have this. So you have just as much opportunity to feel what it feels like to be you and alive right now. It's not too late. You're right on time. And that's the opportunity. And inside the whole body instrument, there's this foundation, there's this power center, and then from the power center rushes up this turbine energy you've co-created with nature and empowers on the winds of that power. It empowers you to feel, to allow this whole from base, middle, and north of this heart, reverberant chamber of your heart, all the way up through your face. Like there's this playground to feel in. And what would occur, for you who's listening, to just feel free to play there?
Yeah, and a vessel to share the the love that we are. Each of us have our own way of caring, and when the heart is anchored in the voice, and the voice anchored in the heart, who we are at the core comes through. Our care.
Beautiful.
Well, thanks for the chat.
Yeah. This is being heard.
We should exchange numbers.
We should do that. We should see each other more often. If this is calling you, please leave us a review. Share with us how this episode has made you feel. Of course, we want to share also that we'd love you to consider becoming a member of the Embodied Voice Portal membership. We have monthly themed content, weekly voice classes with master coaches, and a monthly drop-in with us called Open Up the Mic. And a library of activations and meditations, and a bunch going on, a voice positive culture community we're building.
It's a lot of fun.
That we want you to belong to. And it's really easy to join us. So just find in these show notes how to consider becoming a member with us.
We'll sing with you soon.